Okay, just going back to this one again, I just want to show you a little trick which you can use. I used soft masking before with the curves. I'm going to do something else this time. I'm going to hold down my Control or Command key and hover over this mask made first of all for the canopy. And if I hold down the Control key now, you see the hand turns to a square. A little square happens. If I click on that, that selects the mask we made. You can see there our selection is running around, the little ants are running around on there. If we go back in to our curves this time, you'll see that selection then is turned into a mask. So without having to do any painting whatsoever, we've got this. Just to show you what goes on, remember we put a little AZS curve in. I'm going to click in the mid-tone there. I'm just going to pull down on the bottom here, which is going to densen up those shadows. And again, I'm just going to go up in the top here again. And we can just have a before and after look. So you can see there. Again, I'm using normal blend mode on this. If you really want to just keep the colour out of the situation, just go back into luminosity. And we've just add a bit of crunch in there. A bit more contrast in there. So that looks good. I'm doing the same again now as I did with the first one, which is hold down the Shift key, click on here, because I'm going to put these into another group, and I'm going to call this canopy. So I'm going to mouse down, drag this down to the folder icon on the bottom here, and I'm going to just double click in there, and I'm going to call this canopy. Hit the return key. So now we have the sky and the canopy. It's on a pass-through blend mode, but of course we've got now those two adjustment layers in there can be changed in one go by moving your slider about. So you have even more flexibility. Once you've got them in a group, there's a little arrow by the side here as well. You can actually click on that. That'll open your group. And you've still got the flexibility of going back in there and changing the opacity within your group. Same with the sky. We just click on that. So it's still usable. It's just a way of keeping things neat and tidy. I'm going to go back to layer 1 again. As I said before, I want to look at this concrete plinth at the bottom. It's got a bit of rain in it, a bit of light bouncing around in it. I'd really like it a bit darker and a bit shinier. For this one, I'm going to use soft masking. I'm not going to make a selection at all. And we can do it a couple of ways. I can go into the layer 1, we can just copy that, Control J, so Control J, Command J, and just make a copy of that. And I can just look at the blend mode, and I'm going to go straight into hard light. Hard light, these three here, overlay, soft layer, and hard light, you'll find them very useful if you're getting into your blend modes. Let's have a look what hard light does. Hard light does there, you can see there, we're ignoring everything that's up there. We're just looking down on here, and you can see there, it's really made those reflections quite hard and severe. Let's have a look again, off and on. You can actually see it's taking a while. But I quite like what's happening in there, and that might be the only thing I do. Besides, of course, desaturating this. I can't change to a luminosity blend mode because I'm already in hard light on this. The only way I can not affect the color under here is to actually take color out of the situation. So on a PC, Shift Control U, on a Mac, Shift Command U, or you can go across the image, which is the top here, go to Adjustment, and we can just desaturate that layer. And you can see there at the bottom, that's a cold hard reflection. I quite like that. And there's a couple of ways of doing this. We can have a white mask on and then paint all this out, or I'm going to hold down the Alt or the Option key, make sure that layer is the one that we're working on, go over the mask icons, over the Alt or Option key, click on that, and that gives you a black mask. Alright, that's going to hide everything. Black conceals, don't forget, black conceals everything, white reveals. And we can go in here, and I really don't want to be on 100%, so if I hit 4 on the keyboard, you can see there it goes to 40. You can use the slider. That's a pretty decent size, I think, for my brush. Don't forget you can use the square brackets. With that, make sure you work on the mask and not on your image. always look for a little white line around the outside. That shows you where you're working. So for the mask, look for that white edge that's just around the outside there. And we're going to go in here. We can either hit X or hit the toggle key. So if you hit X, that'll change things around again. That's your keyboard shortcut for moving into there. We're going to go with white paint, and we're just going to paint at 40% in here. You can see straight away we're adding a bit of density to those darker areas. We're also making those reflections nice and hard and shiny. And I'm just going to do a bit of painting. This is probably one of the most boring things you can see on YouTube is somebody painting in Photoshop. But I'm at 40%. I could go up to, let's hit 0 and just wash the whole stuff away. So on 0 now, 0, as you can see up the top here, it goes to 100%. So 0 on your keyboard will give you 100% paint. And you can see straight away I'm just going to fill in that edge there. I'm quite liking that. So I've done what I wanted to achieve. I've set out, I've made that concrete plinth wetter and shinier. It's got a nice bit of glow coming off that light that's still on the outside. Let's go back to the beginning and have a look. So if I hold on the Alt or the Option key, click on there. You can see that's how we started off. Okay, passable image. It was an automatic panorama stitched together in Photoshop. A little bit of twiddling to make it look good. If I hold on the Alt Option key again, we can see just by a bit of work, I know these videos are about 7 minutes long, but really once you get into it, it's probably 2 or 3 minutes to actually do this kind of thing. So we've got something which I think dynamic range wise is quite good without going into HDR. You brought some detail into your clouds. You've increased the detail in the canopy, which is your shadow area. We've looked at also increasing contrast by using a copy layer in hard light blend mode. We could have also gone in there and used an adjustment layer down on the bottom there. We could just ramp the contrast up and maybe darken things down again just to see what happens. In fact, I think I might just do that now. Let's just turn that off. And I go back into this because I want, just above this layer, I want to bring out this brightness contrast. And let's have a look. In fact, I'll just bin that because, foolishly enough, I've made a mask here. So I'm going to do the same thing again. I'm going to make sure it's selected. I'm going to hold down the Control or Command key. You see a little square hand, it just goes there. Little hand turns to square on the side. If I click on that, that's going to choose that as a selection. So it saves me a bit of work. And I'm going to go straight in the brightness contrast. You can see there that selection is now changed into a mask. Hold on the Alt Option key. That work, I've done it once. Why do I need to do it again? I don't know. So I'm going to take the brightness down in that area. You see there, bit dull, and I'm going to pop the contrast up. This screen's taking a while to refresh. I've got some rendering videos in the background. Let's just bring that up again. So you got a similar kind of effect where you're dropping down the brightness, bring up the contrast. Similar to what the hard light blend mode is doing. Let's turn that off and then turn that one on. Let's see if there's any kind of difference. I quite like the second way. Let's take that off again. Yeah, we don't have to take the brightness down. Let's just bring that brightness back up again. So we pop the contrast. So you've got some other methods to play with, and I'm just going to bin this. Bring that one back in again. And now it's just a question of fine tuning. You've got everything at 100%. With this layer active, we can actually go in, fine tune things, go through every one. Because you group things together, you're working on the total opacity of that group layer. You've got the flexibility of working in these. And as I showed you before, you can actually just click the little arrow on the side there, and we can go in and we can work on those as well. So you've got the flexibility of working with your image. You're in control. You've set all these layers up. You can actually fine-tune your image just exactly to how you want it. I'm going to leave it there. Leave it with you. We'll come back with some more tutorials later on. But this is part 3. This is the end of this one. I hope you've enjoyed them. Any questions or comments, don't forget to leave them. But for the moment, that's bye for now.